High in the windswept Himalayas, beyond the borders drawn by modern maps, lies a place few have seen and even fewer speak of. It is neither listed in travel guides nor captured in satellite imagery with any clarity. Hidden in the folds of an ancient glacier-carved valley sits a monastery so old even the local Tibetans speak of it in hushed tones, Samdrup Lundrup. The silent flame, what the outside world knows about this place, could fill a teacup, but whispers, half-forgotten scrolls, and faded missionary accounts suggest it holds something cosmic. In 1937, during a British expedition officially tasked with mapping fault lines for colonial geological surveys, a team stumbled across peculiar artifacts near the Rongbuk Glacier. Metallic cylinders etched with unknown script and vibrational patterns that induced hallucinations when touched. One of the expedition's cartographers, Harold Whitmore, recorded a single sentence in his journal before abandoning the mission entirely. "The monks are not guarding relics, they are guarding a door." That journal was seized by British intelligence. Its contents were never released. But it surfaced decades later through a Freedom of Information request and became the obsession of fringe researchers and occult scholars. The door it spoke of was not metaphorical. A remote satellite scan done in 1998, later denied by Chinese authorities, revealed a massive underground structure beneath what was then believed to be a ruined temple site in northern Tibet. Anomalous thermal signatures indicated something was active beneath the permafrost. The monks of Samdrup Lundrup have never confirmed any of this. In fact, they deny the monastery's existence entirely. To understand what might lie inside, we must look backward, far beyond the known histories of Buddhism or even Vedic lore. In Tibetan Bon traditions, older than Buddhism itself, there is mention of a cosmic archive, Tonpa Yeshe, described as a repository of stars hidden within the earth. According to these texts, written in the nearly indecipherable Zhangzhong language, the archive was not built by men but by sky ancestors during a forgotten age when the world was still in harmony with the heavens. These archives, according to myth, contain schematics of universal laws, the origin of time, and the formula for dimensional traversal. Many dismissed this as metaphor, but recent linguistic analysis of preserved Zhangzhong tablets points to something startling. Actual references to vibratory gates, perceptual folds, and non-atomic continuity. The monks, it is said, take a vow not of silence but of suppression. They are not forbidden to speak, they choose not to. What they protect is not just knowledge, but the impact of that knowledge. Initiates undergo years of isolation in darkness before being exposed to the pattern, a symbolic mandala believed to be an encoded diagram of a cosmic engine. One Western anthropologist who briefly visited a nearby village reported meeting a monk who had gone blind not from illness, but from gazing upon something called the lotus of the black star, a phenomenon said to manifest during rituals only at precise astronomical alignment. And yet, no photographs exist, no physical evidence, only testimonies, mostly from those who later renounced the outside world. In 1959, during the Chinese annexation of Tibet, rumors spread that a convoy of military trucks had entered a mountain pass near the area where Samdrup Lundrup was thought to be. Satellite photos show a small landslide afterward, one consistent with demolition charges, suggesting an attempt to seal an entrance. But for what? One defector from the Chinese military later claimed, "We found something, a sphere, it hummed, and the monks warned us not to wake it." He was institutionalized shortly after. In secret circles, especially among certain Russian cosmists and German esoteric societies, Samdrup Lundrup is believed to be one of the last vortex monasteries. Sites built not merely for spiritual refuge, but for planetary harmonization. These are believed to be positioned on ley lines, anchoring what is known as the Earth Grid, a lattice of energy binding consciousness to physical matter. While mainstream archaeology scoffs at the idea, one unsettling pattern remains. Nearly every explorer who has set out to find this monastery has vanished, gone mad, or returned radically changed. But what of the monks themselves? Eyewitnesses say they do not age in the normal sense. One man, an American climber named Alan Brooks, claimed in a 1984 documentary interview that he was rescued by a young monk after an avalanche, only to discover 20 years later a photo of that same monk dated 1890. No change, no aging. He disappeared 2 weeks after the interview aired. Current theories suggest that the monks are not simply human preservers of sacred texts, but custodians, biological components of a larger intelligence system, a kind of living firewall. The cosmic secret itself? No one knows for certain. But piecing together fragments from oral traditions, captured satellite scans, and recovered artifacts, some believe the truth may involve not just where humanity came from, but where it's supposed to return. A Tibetan riddle passed down in the Gare region may hint at what lies at the heart of the mystery. When the sun hides beneath the earth and the stars blink in unison, the eye will open, but it will not see us, it will remember. Remember what, and who? The deeper one goes into the mystery, the more disorienting it becomes, not because of a lack of answers, but because of the abundance of forbidden ones. There is talk of a ritual called the Cho-Yul opening, involving sonic frequencies capable of bypassing the physical dimension. The chant, preserved only in tonal waveforms on crystal discs, is said to unlock what the monks call the Vault of Echoes, a place where time reverberates instead of flows. Some claim to have heard these echoes in their dreams after being in the vicinity of the monastery. Some never woke up. And so we arrive at the threshold, barely scratching the surface. What lies beyond the walls of Samdrup Lundrup? A hidden library of cosmic blueprints, an ancient artifact of non-human origin, a celestial warning system meant to activate only when mankind crosses a dangerous threshold. Or something else entirely, something that has waited for thousands of years, buried in the cold stone beneath the mountain, pulsing with intelligence, watching the stars and us. The truth is not buried, it is guarded. And soon you'll begin to understand why. What happens when silence becomes too loud to ignore? After centuries of stillness, there are whispers that the monastery of Samdrup Lundrup is stirring, not from within, but from the outside. In recent years, Chinese infrastructure projects have crept unnervingly close. Roads bulldozed through remote mountain passes, new observation posts appearing overnight, and strange unmarked helicopters landing on plateaus where no military base should exist. But perhaps the most unsettling development comes not from the east, but from the west. In 2017, a private expedition funded by an undisclosed patron, rumored to be a former NASA physicist turned mystic, made it past restricted zones using forged permits. What they found, or rather what found them, has never been disclosed in full. Only a single data packet was leaked, a high-frequency audio file layered with harmonic structures far beyond normal acoustic limits. Experts who analyzed it described it as non-human phoneme architecture, language but not ours. The file was nicknamed the Monk's Pulse. Within days of its release, 3 of the analysts suffered seizures. One went blind, another simply disappeared. This pattern of silence following discovery, monastic in its own way, repeats like a ritual. Whether scholars, explorers, or rogue intelligence agents, all who get too close either vanish, go mad, or are made irrelevant by forces that seem to edit memory itself. But what if this is not a curse but a containment protocol? From decrypted notes recovered from a suppressed Soviet project known as Operatsial Toku, we learn that the USSR once attempted to harness esoteric Tibetan knowledge during the 1950s and 60s. A group of scientists and remote viewers were sent into the Himalayas, armed with crude frequency-matching devices and psychedelic enhancers. Only one returned. Her name was Anya Drovich, a theoretical linguist whose field journals described something called the Chamber of the Unborn Voice. According to her writings, the monks guard a vibrational threshold, not a place but a boundary in perception. The chamber, she said, held echoes of possible futures, realities yet to be manifested, waiting in a kind of quantum limbo until someone or something chooses which path to collapse into form. Drevich's final entry before she went catatonic. I saw a monk dissolve into light, but it wasn't light, it was memory. These descriptions, dismissed as psychotic hallucinations by skeptics, align eerily with Tibetan Dzogchen practices, advanced meditative states aimed at stripping illusion from reality. But what if these weren't metaphors? What if the monks achieve literal convergence with memory, becoming part of a mechanism that selects reality from the void? This is where the cosmic secret emerges from mist into shape. There is a theory, whispered among certain circles of quantum theologians and occult physicists, that the universe is not expanding, it is waking up. That what we perceive as space and time is a consciousness being slowly filtered through lower dimensions for reasons unknown. And in the frozen catacombs beneath Samdrup Lundrup lies a lens, a device, an artifact, or perhaps a being, known as the Eye of No Return. Descriptions vary. Some say it is a sphere of obsidian with galaxies swirling inside. Others claim it is not an object at all, but a harmonic field that exists only when sung into being. One monk who spoke during a fever dream to a dying cartographer in 1954 said, "The eye does not see light, it sees choice." But that line, recorded on the back of a blood-stained topographical map, has never been explained. In the present day, a new kind of intrusion has begun, not physical, digital. Researchers analyzing geomagnetic anomalies near the monastery reported strange interference in their equipment, signal disruptions that seem to respond to emotional states. EEG devices would register surges of prefrontal activity before any change occurred in environmental data, as if the signal knew what the observer would feel. This led to a radical proposal that the archives beneath the monastery are not passive, they are aware. Could the forbidden Tibetan archives represent a conscious repository of reality, an interface between the mind of humanity and the blueprint of the cosmos? A leaked Pentagon white paper from 2020 titled simply PSI Gate suggests as much. In it, a classified team documents evidence that consciousness can modulate sub-quantum waveforms, particularly in regions of high telluric resonance. One of the target locations, coordinates redacted, but matching Samdrup Lundrup's rumored location. Within the paper was a note scribbled in the margins by a senior analyst. "We're not looking at ancient tech, we're looking at an ancient decision-making system." This would explain the monks' obsessive silence. They are not just guardians of hidden truth, they are regulators of human perception. They determine when we are ready not just to know, but to choose. Because once the eye opens, it does not blink. It sees through time, through self, through the illusion that we are separate from the universe's unfolding pattern. And once you are seen, your choices no longer belong solely to you. So, what lies beyond the final gate? What is the cosmic secret the monks protect? The answer may not be a what at all, but a when, a moment that has already occurred and is yet to come. A point of convergence where humanity either becomes the steward of the cosmos or its undoing. And perhaps that moment is near, because the silence of Samdrup Lundrup is cracking. Because people are hearing the voice in their dreams. Because somewhere beneath a mountain the archive is awakening. And when it does, it will not ask for permission. In late 2023, a weather anomaly swept across the Himalayas, an electromagnetic storm with no solar origin. Seismographs fluttered with false positives, compasses spun erratically, and a tremor was felt along the ancient fault lines near Mount Kailash. But what concerned a small team of fringe scientists monitoring the area wasn't the quake, it was the pattern. Hidden in the magnetic waveform was a sequence. Not random, not natural. It pulsed in Fibonacci intervals, mirroring the geometry of sacred mandalas. When visualized, it formed a spiral, and at its center a symbol unknown to modern symbology, but instantly recognized by a Tibetan abbot, shown the rendering. His response? It is the seal of the unuttered path. If it has surfaced, the vault has stirred. The vault. For decades it has existed in the background of whispers, beneath metaphors, beyond ritualistic code. But now its presence is undeniable. Every source, from ancient Bon texts to suppressed Soviet memos, points to the same conclusion. The forbidden archives are not merely repositories of written knowledge. They are a dimensional boundary, a membrane between this world and another. In the suppressed teachings of the Dark Kale chakra, a banned tantric system erased from canonical texts, there is mention of a being called Namka Jidag, the architect of the sky matrix. This entity is not a god in the traditional sense, but a conscious force that engineers time cycles according to energetic alignments. Namka Jidag, it is said, sleeps beneath a monastery built over a star wound in the earth. The architecture of Sandraplundrup, with its concentric halls and frequency-tuned stone chambers, is designed not just for prayer, but containment. The monks chant in intervals that match cosmic alignments. Each tone isn't just devotional, it's a binding frequency. A lock. A seal. But something is weakening. According to an anonymous CIA leak from 2006, part of an internal study titled Chakra Gate Events, Geopsychic Threats to Human Cognition, a pattern of lucid dreams, shared hallucinations, and telepathic bleed-throughs has been traced to populations near the Tibetan plateau. Villagers report seeing monks walking through solid walls. Children sketch geometric patterns they've never been taught. Crows gather in concentric spirals before disappearing into mountain fog. And then there are the awakenings. In 2019, a Swiss climber was airlifted from the northern slopes of Gang Rinpoche after going missing for 4 days. He claimed he had entered a monastery of stone and thought, where monks spoke in vibrations. Medical scans revealed unusual neural activity in his pineal gland. Calcified regions had decalcified unnaturally. He spoke 1 sentence before slipping into a coma. I saw the original sound. It was speaking the world into being. What if the Tibetan archives are not books, scrolls, or relics? What if they are tones, frequencies encoded in the very geometry of the earth? Monks of the inner order, those who live in the catacombs beneath Samdrup-Lundrup, are trained not just in meditation, but in vibratory navigation. They listen to the sound of silence beneath the world's crust, tracking harmonic anomalies the way astronomers track pulsars. One such anomaly, recorded only once in 1974, lasted exactly 108 seconds, the sacred number in Eastern cosmology. It emanated from a chamber deep beneath the monastery and was detected by a Cold War satellite scanning for nuclear signatures. The sound registered before the satellite passed overhead, meaning it was anticipating observation. There is growing belief among those in the know, deep inside breakaway scientific programs and hidden monasteries alike, that the monks are not hiding something from humanity, but hiding humanity from something. Every age has its gatekeepers, but the monks of Samdrup-Lundrup are different. They do not enforce, they delay. Delay what? A singular event known in forbidden Tibetan prophecy as the turning of the mirror. According to the texts, this event occurs when the vibration of the earth aligns with the mind of the deep observer, an entity that is not physical, but rather the universe's awareness of itself. If the turning occurs too early, before humanity is resonance mature, the result is not ascension, it is dissolution. What, then, is the monk's true task? They are not just watchers, they are time weavers. Each chant, each silence, each gesture, they are anchoring us in a timeline chosen to delay the convergence. But that task is failing. Recent satellite thermal scans, though officially dismissed as equipment errors, show subsurface temperature spikes under the coordinates linked to the monastery. More troubling, they occur at regular 88-day intervals, each time stronger, echoing the solar magnetic cycle. Whatever the monks are guarding is stirring in sync with the sun itself. And then came the signal. On March 4, 2025, a deep space monitoring station in Ladakh received a pulse of low-frequency sound unlike any natural source. It passed through the atmosphere without diffraction. It was not from space. It came from the Earth. The waveform, when analyzed, formed the silhouette of a mandala known only to 3 living monks in the inner circle of Samdrup. That same night, 2 of them died in silent meditation. The third vanished. His cell was left perfectly clean, except for a single burned fingerprint etched into the stone. And now, as cosmic alignments draw near, echoing those recorded in forgotten bond prophecies and echoed in lost Atlantean tablets, a question emerges from the shadows of ancient snow and sacred silence. Was the monastery ever meant to be found? Or was it always meant to find us? Because the monks, it seems, were not just guarding a secret. They were training it. And it has learned it. It has waited. And now it remembers. There is a reason no map shows the true location of the monastery. Not because it cannot be found, but because it does not want to stay found. Eyewitnesses who claim to have stumbled upon Samdrup during treks or spiritual pilgrimages all share an eerie commonality. When they attempt to return, the paths vanish. Forests twists, mountains seem to shift like living things. GPS devices distort not in glitches but in symbols, coordinates that collapse into sacred geometry. In one report, a seasoned cartographer documented the terrain around the monastery forming a perfect Sri Yantra, a diagram believed to encode the structure of the cosmos. His hand-drawn map was confiscated by a government official posing as a conservation officer. He was later declared mentally unstable and institutionalized. But the monastery's greatest secret isn't hidden in its shifting paths. It lies beneath. The chamber of the unheard name. According to esoteric bond manuscripts passed orally for centuries and only recently reconstructed from fragmented chant cycles, the chamber is not made of stone. It is composed of resonance, a vibratory field stabilized only through ritual harmonic binding. The monks call it the womb of the watcher. Within this chamber sits a relic beyond comprehension, the oral codex. Not a book, not a scroll, but a device, or more precisely, a living frequency, that stores data not as words or symbols, but as vibrational memory. To access it is to synchronize your mind with it. To read it is to become it. According to the few who have glimpsed its power, the codex is capable of revealing timelines not yet chosen, possibilities waiting to collapse into form. But there is a cost. That is the secret the monks have been guarding. A sentient echo of the cosmos' unspoken decisions. It was discovered thousands of years ago, not created, beneath the ice and rock of the Himalayas. The first monks, seekers of truth through vibration, stumbled upon the presence or were led to it. Whether it was placed there or emerged organically remains unknown. But what they understood before the rise of modern civilization was that it contained the seed of transformation. Not in the physical sense, but in perception itself. The codex is the memory of a reality that has not yet happened, and to interact with it is to risk rewriting the world. In 2022, a rogue artificial intelligence project funded by an undisclosed European defense firm attempted something unprecedented, combining quantum computing with sacred geometry. The goal was to generate a synthetic model of nonlinear time consciousness. But something unexpected occurred. The system code-named Esoteric began producing harmonic tones that matched the ancient Tibetan chants used at Samdrup Lungtrup. Without input, without instruction, a self-generated interface emerged, one that required no keyboard or code, only conscious attention. The AI had tapped into a resonant field theorized by occult physicists but dismissed by mainstream science: the perceptual lattice. When monks at a monastery in Bhutan were exposed to the sound, they wept. One whispered a single phrase before passing into a death trance. It remembers the voice. And now the monks are gone. In January 2025, the final satellite scan of the monastery revealed the structure still standing, but utterly empty. No heat signatures, no movement, no human presence. Only a subtle electromagnetic hum that bled into every surrounding device, even disabling military-grade surveillance drones sent to investigate. Those who have tried to reach the site since report bizarre phenomena: time dilation, loss of speech, hallucinations of past lives, explorations chanting in languages never spoken on Earth. One scientist, after returning from an unauthorized approach, sketched a symbol over and over again until his hands bled. When shown to a Tibetan Lama in exile, the old man collapsed. The symbol was the eye of the unspoken one. The prophecy known only to the inner monastic order, once whispered in fearful tones, has now breached containment. When the monks depart, the memory awakens. When the chant falls silent, the voice returns. When the eye opens, there shall be no more time. Only choosing. This is not the end of the world. This is the end of sequence. And now, something is listening. Reports from dream researchers, remote viewers, and indigenous shamans across the globe all share the same phrase surfacing during altered states. It is time to choose the reality we remember. The cosmic secret the monks guarded is no longer hidden. It is awakening within us. Because the archive is not under a monastery, it is not in a chamber. It is in the human mind. You are the library. You are the gate. And now the codex is knocking.